I call this meeting to the regular session of the Wetzel County Schools to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Castello and the invocation by me. Anyone not wishing to participate may stay seated.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for everything that you've given us and the support that you give us. Please help us with patience. Please help us so that we can all work together and not against, so that we can do what's best for the students in our county. Amen. We'll start with delegations. Before we have our delegations, I'll remind you that you get 5 minutes to speak. We are not allowed by state law to respond. If something is said that we feel we should put on the next agenda, we can do that at the end of the meeting when we get to other, but we cannot respond to you right now. Anything that you say you are responsible for, we are not liable for, and we do ask that you speak to us. So, okay, with that, our first person is Mike Turner. You're welcome to come up here if you'd like to stand, sir. Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name's Mike Turner, and I'm here because of rumors. Okay, that's sort of strange, and we hear rumors all the time. But it's rumors that can lead to not starting out the school year well at Payton City High School. Okay, we understand, I've heard, and I just got back off vacation and I heard all this on Sunday, so I haven't had time to call any of you and talk about, is this true, is that true? So I understand that there's been an interview and a job offer made to a principal candidate for the Payton City High School. And I know you can't answer these questions, but I'm hoping as we go through the meeting tonight that the answers will be here, because it's important things. One I heard was there were 2 applicants from Payton City that were qualified for that job that did not get interviewed. Another one that I heard was the person who was interviewed was not at the right level of education with the background, her background in education. But I don't know, because I tried to find that information last night, and it's hard to find that. That is really some important things, because it's burning down. It's like the hay field on fire, and it's just rolling, and it's getting there pretty quick. So that's two of the things. Now if I could just remember the third one. It's been on my mind here. But yeah, that's 2 of the things that are important to the citizens of Payton City, and I'm sure you're aware of that. So that third one's not coming to me, but I sure it will when I sit down. So thank you for entertaining me for this, and I'll be listening through the meeting.
Thank you. Our second person is Vince Monceau.
Yes, I had no intentions of speaking, except when I listened to this morning's news, national television, and perhaps somebody else in here might have heard it. They declared there's a national teachers shortage, something we already know in Wetzel County, because we have a difficult time finding certified teachers for all of our classrooms. Now, I'm not blaming anyone for that, I'm just stating a fact. And one thing that I would recommend for all of our high schools, if they don't have a future Teachers of America club, they need to have one. Because by having a good future Teachers of America club, perhaps we can encourage some of our students that might be thinking of education, of teaching, to actually go into teaching, go into education, and hopefully we could keep some of our homegrown kids back in Wetzel County. And I know we have many of our teachers who are from Wetzel County, but perhaps we could find more, and maybe they would be less apt to go somewhere else if they're our own homegrown. So that's just one of the things I wanted to recommend, that perhaps we start, if we don't have future Teachers of America clubs in every high school, that we do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next thing that's on the agenda is superintendent's recommendations. First thing is approval of minutes of the regular meeting on June 26th and the special meeting work session on July 7th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? It's been moved by Mrs. Nice. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Mr. Glasscock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And I do want to speak and say that there are 4 of us here today that Dr. Christian was unable to attend today. Okay, under personnel matters, we have the list of the resignations, the professional personnel, the service personnel, employment probationary personnel, a reconfiguration with the principal and the teachers. And so,
Should I
yeah.
take one? Madam President, I move that we go into executive session for personnel matters.
Okay.
I will second that.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to go into executive session for personnel matters. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are going into executive session at 6:37. Executive session at 6:49. It had been motioned by Mr. Glasscock and seconded by Mrs. Nice, and it was voted on unanimously to exit. We will enter back down to regular session at 6:51. Okay, so then we're now back to personnel matters, the resignations, professional personnel, service personnel, extracurricular, reconfiguration, teachers, leaves of absences. Do I have a motion for approval of superintendent's recommendations as outlined under personnel matters?
I move that we approve of the superintendent's recommendations as outlined under personnel matters.
Is there a second? I'll second it. It was moved by Mrs. Nice and seconded by Mrs. Fawner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll go on to ratification of superintendent's recommendation. Letter C, strike that?
Strike.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go under routine matters then. Request to attend Wetzel County Schools. There are 4. One of them is a continuation. 3 are new people wanting to come to Wetzel County Schools. Release from Wetzel County Schools, there's 1 new person and 3 that have been continuing on at a different county before this. Okay, also the out-of-state trips, depository bank, the request to use school facilities, and the memorandum of understanding. Is there a motion for approval of superintendent's recommendation as outlined under routine matters?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Castillo. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Mrs. Nice. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, treasurer's report.
I'm asking for approval for payment of bills for the month of June, which you have had in your packet. I have nothing as far as transfers and increases in the budget for item B, so I'm just asking for approval for item A.
Okay, so do I have a motion for approval for payment of bills for the month of June 2023?
So moved.
It's moved by Mr. Glasscock. I will second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next, board consideration and action. It's the approval for sale at the public auction to the tract of land listed, and also authorizing the superintendent or board president to enter any agreements on behalf of the board to effectuate the sale and conveyance of the property.
So I can expand on that a little bit.
Thank you.
So the board already gave authority to the superintendent to hold an auction for the property out next to our bus parking lot at 100 High School. And we did hold that auction. CityNet was the winner of that auction. CityNet wants to, it's just a small tract. We own a larger tract of land there. They just want a small tract of land there. We advertised it, we auctioned it off. They want to buy it. In order for them to buy it, they've got to do a survey. We're not paying for that survey. They've got to do a survey that we have an approximate image of that little tract that they want. The purpose of what they want to do, they want to, like a fiber hut, if you could say, a building to help expand the internet capabilities in that area. So this basically is just saying, okay, you're giving CityNet the approval to purchase that if they do all the things they're supposed to do, which is get their, and the amount I believe was $10,000 is the amount that they approved to purchase there. So I think it's a good thing for the area, the 100 area, and it was something we could do, kind of a community thing that we could do to help out with that, and we gave everybody in the world the option to buy it, and they wanted to buy it.
I think we've referenced before that Mr. Boothby or one of his associates is
Right.
on this.
It's not Mr. Boothby, but it's a couple attorneys through,
Their firm.
yes, through their firm.
They're analyzing.
Everything's under, completely legal and above board on this.
Any other discussion?
I know that you said that, and I just want to clarify this, we're not paying for the survey, we're not paying for the title search, anything, right?
We are not. We intentionally set a higher price on that because we knew we had some legal costs on that, and that was to get back our legal costs. But the survey, they're taking care of that. So
Good question. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Glasscock, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now, we have some first readings and new revised for Wetzel County policies. Something I want to make a point of saying is, we've been meeting on a whole bunch for 2.5 years, but that was just to revise what was in our policies already, because they hadn't been revised for, some of them for decades. So now, and that Dr. Christian and I were on that committee, but we're no longer on that committee. That committee it's broken apart, we don't have it anymore. Now the originators are just people within the county that come up with this from the staff. So just pointing that out. So this, looking down at the list, and again, these are all on first reading. These can be found for public view at the Wetzel County School site if anybody wants to look at them and read them, to have any questions on them. Do board members have any questions on the first one, JECC, open enrollment for non-student transfers?
And that's just to comply with new state policy and everything that the legislature
Correct.
passed this time.
Yes.
Okay. All right, are there any questions on the student journalist, which is JG?
No issues really come up, that's just complying with,
That's coming down from the federal level, actually,
Okay.
to the states, then to us.
okay.
And the form is there, I like that the form is right there with the policy, so if it has to be filled out, it's there. Okay, the next one is EFF, critical need and bus operators. Do we have any questions or comments on that one?
I'll speak for Mrs. Lloyd. She was gonna discuss it, but she's not here tonight. That is, similar to how you can have retired teachers substitute.
Yes.
So the state has allowed that now for retired bus drivers to be able to substitute to help out that shortage.
Good, thank you. Okay, then JCEB, intra-county transfers. Mrs. Porter, is there anything on that that you wanted to?
Same thing, we're just complying with what we need to comply with. This is actually better for us now that changes come.
Okay. Okay, then student code of conduct.
That is due to state legislative changes.
Yeah.
We're just
I
changing
think this is-
hours to match what they passed in the
Correct.
legislation and everything.
Yes.
Just myself, as having been a former teacher, I think this is one that people really need to read carefully so that they know what they can and can't do. Okay? Intra-county transfers, is that one, the one we just did?
You're on JLCD now.
You're on medication.
Okay, medication administration, yes.
And that is also to comply with state policy.
Okay. Makes that easy, huh? Okay. And with transfer of students, even though students are allowed to transfer from one place to, I just wanna make sure I'm clear on this. Even though students are allowed to transfer from one county to another now, easier than what happened before, they still have to notify the other county to make sure that it's not gonna put them over on students, or
Yes.
they'd have to hire another teacher, or something like that, so they still have to apply.
Still some criteria.
But it's not anything like it used to be when you had to worry about so much transfer. Anything else on that? Okay. All right, and again, this is on the WetzelCountySchools.com if you wanna look at it and make any comments or let us know. Do I have a motion to approve these on first reading?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Castillo, I'll second it. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, number 7, establishment of regular school board meeting schedule for 2023-2024. Currently, we meet on the second and the fourth Monday at 6:30. Every year, we have to reset if that's how we wanna do it, or if we wanna do it differently. Years ago, it was always on the second, a long time ago, some of you weren't on board probably, but it used to be on the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month. And it was changed because a board member at the time had to get a night class in, and so they moved it. So what we have to look at now is what is best for all of us here. I can speak, Dr. Christian said he liked it on Monday nights. He didn't care if it was at the first and third or second and fourth, but that was what he liked, so I voiced his opinion. So now anybody here have an opinion on what they would like? And that includes you too, Mrs. Porter. So,
I prefer the Mondays. like we're doing now.
Is there any chance we can move them to 6, or is that too early?
He has patients until 6:30 makes it easier for him to get here. That's
Makes
the
it
only.
harder for her to stay.
But you have to say, we don't have to have them on Mondays.
Tuesdays, I know that Tuesdays he has, and I wish he could have been here. I know Tuesdays this is early day, but he's misses for other reasons on Tuesdays for his children. So, Mr.
Could we-
Glasscock, is there
Could we table this till next meeting?
no, we have to have it set in this meeting because it's July.
Then I'm for leaving it the way it is.
I would have one change that I'd like to do. Every year in November, we say we're gonna cancel the second meeting because of the holiday. And in December, we say we're gonna cancel the second meeting because of the holiday. And if it's needed, we'll come into a special session. Can we not just set it that in November we have one meeting and in December we have one meeting? And we don't have to go through that again?
Sure can. And if you wanted, if you're gonna keep it the 2nd and 4th, and you wanna have it the 3rd, just to balance it out.
Yeah,
It's up to you.
Question, I know that we have to have one, they told us at our training we went to, that we have to have a meeting on that first Monday in July. And
That's
it's
next school
mandated
year
now.
because of the election year, it's the statutory year.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
That's next year.
do we wanna leave it on, and how about
Third Tuesday in April is a required meeting.
third Tuesday? So that one we have to add on anyhow for doing Monday, so could we do, if we leave it on Mondays at 6:30 and do the first and third, I don't know, what do you guys think I'm saying at all? Maybe you want-
We could, if we set it, if there's nothing that says we can't change it, right?
Right.
I mean, we could say first and third this evening, and then if we find that it's got somebody really messed up, we can always adjust it according, we've done that before, so.
I still should do it at the 6. I liked it better at 6.
So 1st and 3rd?
And I don't know if it makes a difference, but the 1st and 3rd of January is both holidays.
Is that right?
So nothing.
It's
I'm
New
glad you
Year's-
looked that up.
New
Thank
Year's and
you.
Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, let's, yeah.
Right now, what he's looking.
We can adjust them later.
You keeping it at the same time, or you moving it to 6, or?
If we try to move it up to 6, maybe that's something we can discuss with him, leave it as is now, but then ask him, is there anything you can do with the 1st and the 4th, or this?
Yeah, that would only be 2 days that maybe you could get out a little earlier.
And it would stay the same for the most part, but it would accommodate for others.
So first and third is,
It was New Year's Day and Martin Luther King Day was the 15th.
I don't think people would wanna come on New Year's Day. though.
okay, so if we do the second and fourth, we try to do it at 6. Or if there's no way that he can, then we can adjust it then, but we'll see if we can. The second and the fourth, only one meeting in November, one meeting in December, unless we need to have more. And in April, we're gonna have to have that special meeting on a Tuesday. But we've done that every year.
That's always done that way.
Yeah.
You can always not have the one Monday
Right.
and have just the second one Wednesday.
Basically, we would move that, we'd move the last meeting
Meeting up to
a
then,
week.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
instead of having April 22nd, you would have it April 16th on that Tuesday, because that's the required one.
So the most important thing is, as long as you understand everything we're saying, that you take care of us on that. Thank you.
That's basically the only statutory meeting, right?
That's the only one I know of.
That's what I mean.
April 16th is the awards, academic awards banquet for 9 through 12.
So
Well,
would be
we can
earlier.
always have it in the morning,
Yeah.
because it's basically, you have to, that's required, you have no choice.
Yeah.
Do we do, in the morning is good.
Monday?
That
Quick,
third
as long as
Tuesday
you
is
have
also the awards banquet?
Academic awards, she
So,
just announced it
so
today.
we've done that 2 ways before. You really, that meeting, you're continuing your levy rates, it really takes less than a minute to do.
Right.
We've done it before at 8 o'clock in the morning and just had 3 board members show up to approve it. we could do it that way too.
And not do any other
and not-
action, just.
And still have your
Right.
second board meeting if you wanted to.
The academic awards is gonna be on a Monday evening?
The
It's a,
16th is Tuesday.
it's a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday
That's the
and
April.
Thursday that way.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
because I just know it's Tuesday, Thursday still, right?
Yes.
Okay,
The academic awards.
I don't,
yeah.
I must have lost the translation someplace, sorry.
Okay. You
Just
okay
keep
with
them,
everything?
keep
Mrs.
them that way in
Simmons?
April, and then we'll set a special time
Okay,
for that continuation
You
of
can
that.
decide that when it's closer.
okay.
And that's usually how I put it in your schedule anyway, it's a question mark.
All right, so you've got the schedule set up. Number 8, the board statement regarding self-appraisal. Starting this year, we were mandated, it used to be you could, if you wanted, we had to each go on and do a self-appraisal on the computer that was then combined and sent to the State Department. We didn't see each other's responses. There were 29 questions. Some of the types were like, what's your mission? And it's like, there it is, education, individuals for success. But it, it asked things like that, multiple choice. It asked how you work with your superintendent. We took it, but we took the appraisal before Mrs. Porter came on. So when it's talking about how we worked with the superintendent, it's how we worked with Mrs. Wells, when you're looking at it. So it went through 29 different things, and I'm happy to say that on all 29, it was 3 or more people said agree or strongly agree. Once in a while, there was somebody that had a disagree or something, but all 29 did. It is online. You can go online and look at the self-appraisal. You can see the questions we answered. You can see how we responded. And what we're going to have to need to do is develop goals for next year. And so I'd like for our next meeting, if when we come, that we have some ideas in mind, and it can be very similar to the goals and things they put on that, that of self-appraisal, so we could make some goals for our board for this coming year.
And there was a memo out today that there are multiple counties, 20-some counties that have not complied yet with that, and Wetzel County wasn't there, so
You were one
we're
of the
doing
first to do
good.
theirs, yes, yeah. So that is online, but if you come with some ideas, I wanna make a motion, well, I'll do that under other about it. Okay. All right, anything else on self-appraisal? Okay, board member committee reports. Anything from Altai?
Altai Advisory Board meeting is a week from today.
Anything for it?
It's Thursday.
What's that?
Thursday. It's this week, this Thursday.
Surprise.
We'll double check later.
Okay, I thought he sent me we'll check.
Coming up.
It's a meeting coming up. We changed it because it was supposed to be last week, and I asked him to change it because you would be in, Mrs. Porter would have been in Florida, so I'll check my email.
Okay.
When you're old, sometimes you forget things, I'm sorry.
Under other things, board committee reports, I want to say one thing, it's not really a committee, but Mrs. Porter as the new superintendent and me as the board president had to go to a training together. And it was excellent. It was at Stonewall, it was with lawyers. They just went over a lot of things with agendas and how we do our agendas, different law things that we have to follow, some of the things that these policies are based on. And we rode over together to Stonewall. It was just a daytime thing and then back. And it was a good bonding time for me to learn a lot too.
Likewise.
Yeah, okay. All right, then under other items, A, discussion of policy 2322.
Well, let me start by saying we did have a very learning, educational time in Florida at the SREB training. Congratulations to all the work Wetzel County has done as being recognized of one of 2 districts in the Southern Regional Educational Board for what they've done, their progress. And congratulations to 100 High School for being a pace setter school. That was very, it was nice to see everybody on stage and all the fun things they're doing and all the things they're doing for our kids. A lot of learning going on, a lot of sessions, a lot of CTE talk, a lot about the stuff that we're trying to do in our county anyway, just gave us more of that oomph to continue with the SREB. I did want to say that today we had our first principal and director meeting here today all day. We set our expectations. It was a very good meeting. We did a little bonding over some food, and then at the end of the day, we had a presenter, Lance Loya, who is a former coach. He is a book writer, I guess is an author, and he speaks on teamwork and team building, and so it was good for us as principals and directors and how we're gonna go forward, and then he gives a lot of information for our principals to take back to their buildings to work on. So that's what's kind of been happening so far. And then I'd like to open it up to let our directors give us a little bit. Mrs. Standiford, do you have anything to report?
Summer school is about finished up, and the express will end this week. Friday's our last day. Summer school short line ended last week, so I think extended school year is done too. We have a couple of schools going to the Invest Conference in Morgantown tomorrow. Short line school and long range schools both have a team going, and that's about all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Houston?
I'd just like to say, again, we just came back from the SREB trip. We had 39 participants, including Miss Nice. I would just like to hear what you have to say about the conference.
I was trying to think the whole way back how to summarize it all in just a few short
It's just
pages.
pages.
I have pages, I have pictures, and there were 2,866 attendees there, over 38 states. And we were on stage twice and recognized, and there are almost 500 different sessions for attendees to choose from. I've been to a lot of conferences for the credit union in my 10 years there, but nothing is offered like what this training does for people that need their professional development. A lot of times I would sit down or sit on the floor. I did want to throw that out there for those who went to the Beginning Teachers Academy, what they show here. I couldn't believe it. I went to walk in and she said something about standing. I'm like, what? She said, standing room only. And so I went in and I sat on the floor so I could see and just watch Whitney and Jackie do their thing. And I wrote down to hear what people were, or like to sit there and hear what people were saying. I wish we had that where I was, or that would have been nice, or I want her information, or people taking pictures of the slides because they want what we're offering. Following that class into another session, talking about leadership matters and our pain points, and everyone is seeing the teacher shortage. We're all in the same boat. And when one of the teachers, I think she was from Alabama, sitting across from us, we were in these big circles of groups of divisions where SREB, like their states, how they're divided. And she said, that last class I was in, a shout out to West Virginia for doing that. I've got her information. I'm going to see how they're doing things. And she's been a teacher for over 30 years. So it was really good to see what we're doing out there in raw form and how valuable it is to everyone and not just us. And you know, it doesn't just stop. Everything is always evolving. So you might go this year and see some information, but I mean, there's always more to gain. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to go. When we got up there and we got a picture taken, I kind of stood back. I didn't want to be in the way. And I leaned up on the podium and I was like, can I just stay over here? And the guy's like, yeah, I'll be over here too. And we were leaning there and he said, oh, my name's Steve. Okay. Here, he was the president. So I got to talk to him a couple different times there. And he was a very humble man. You would never know. But just one of those, you have my information. You email me if you ever need anything. But it was an experience. But thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to go. I got 2 books I got to take back. I let someone borrow one of them already. It was called Drained and Strained. But I want it passed around. So if she's watching, if you have it, pass it on to a friend. I've got another one I'm going to use at work for collaboration, teamwork, building up together. A lot of that stuff can be used anywhere in a workplace. So, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Houston, for orchestrating that.
Thank you. I just want you guys to understand, we had, let's see, 100 High School had 3 groups presenting to a national audience. Long Drain had a group with Holly. Martinsville School, Valley High School, who am I forgetting?
100.
by the 3 for 100.
Okay.
And we're presenting to national audiences. And we were one of 2 districts recognized nationally and in front of almost 3,000 people for what we've been trying to do. And then Little Old Hundred High School was a national paysetter school, 9 recognized. Believe me, I think we have some other paysetters in our county as well. So, big deal. Also wanted to mention just real quick, we sent a bunch of kids from our district to National TSA Conference, 100 in Long Drain, 100 transportational. I want you to, you hear some of these things, you think some of these things are kiddie stuff. But let me tell you, there's like a stack of research the kids have to do for each one of these projects. Plus they are interviewed. Plus their project has to perform. Transportation modeling, Connor Snedden 100 High School, top 10 in the nation. Senior solar sprint, 100 High School, Vincent Sigley and Connor Snedden, top 10 in the nation. Mechanical engineering, top 10 Long Drain school in the nation. Junior solar sprint, top 10 in the nation, Long Drain school. Dragster Middle School, top 10, Alden Shipman, Long Drain school. Animatronics, 100 High School, Vincent Sigley and Connor Snedden, top 10 in the nation. Dragster Middle School, Melina Rush, 3rd place, Long Drain school, 3rd place in the nation. And 2nd place, Connor Snedden, 100 High School, Dragster Design, 2nd place in the nation. So these are national awards, not just state.
And I'm gonna say, I say this at so many meetings, you're probably tired of hearing me saying this. We have so many good things happening in every school. We need to start working, and I say this so often, if we have something good that's going on at Payton City, let's have them be sharing it with, you know, New Martinsville and Long Drain and Short Line. If we have something good we have good stuff everywhere, we need to get it. If we have that in the county, let's use that.
Okay, I think I'm done talking.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Mrs. Ammons?
We are in our last week of in-person meals at Long Drain and Payton City Elementary. We still have one more week of 10 meal boxes to be delivered, and that's the week of August the 1st. Those will go out. So, that's about it.
Have we had any complaints about the
deliveries? Yes, there has been, but that is also, there's an 800 number on the side of the box. That is a shipping issue, and they need to contact the company, and it will be replaced if there's an issue.
Our new special ed director, Mrs. McLaughlin.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity. I am very honored, and I look forward to working with within the county. And with that being said, we just finished ESY at all sites on July 14th. Looking ahead, we have already begun planning for beginning of the year training. So on August 15th, we have training set up for CPI, which is Crisis Prevention Institute. On August 16th, we're looking at training our special ed staff, teachers, counselors for IEP training. Also, we're looking at doing some SAT training this year for SAT coordinators, title teachers, and others who help with the SAT team. FBA training, FBA training, BIP training. We have Dr. Ball coming in to help with that. And also, in addition to that, we're just beginning to ask for caseloads and assigning case managers with some of our vacancies and concerns going on. We want to make sure that we're servicing and have kids all in the right places.
Excuse me just a minute. Let's back up here a moment.
Oh.
To the food boxes, I got an email from a lady, and I got to show it to her, that the FedEx act literally throws the boxes out and busts all the milk and everything.
Yeah, that's, you have to call that number, okay, because we don't control the shipping, unfortunately, and I know that has been an issue, and that company is aware of it and is addressing it, so.
Mr. Kimball, newly appointed to CTE in the center.
It's funny, what you finished up talking about, Linda. We had multiple CTE teachers at the SREB conference, and they were wanting, you know, what each other was doing, and it's not just at the conferences in the sessions, but it's afterwards where you're sitting at dinner, meeting with the other teachers and exchanging ideas, and hey, how did you do this? I mean, there really was not, if you're around teachers all the time, they're generally talking about work, school, something, and, you know, outside of the sessions, there was a lot of educational talk, and Christine, I'm sure you heard it, and you're probably tired of it. Quit talking about school.
It's great.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one thing when you get educators together, there's a lot of educational talk, and there are lots of things being harvested from one school to the other and being taken back. We're having a Wetzel County School CTE Summer Academy on Wednesday, and then I'm having a Center Summer Academy on the 7th and 8th, where we're getting everything ready for the upcoming school year, so,
Exciting things.
yes.
All right, Mr. McPherson?
Okay, how about some positive employment news? It exists. Before I was out last week, I invited 40 aides to come test. 23 showed up and 12 of them passed the test. We've sent them off for a background check, and hopefully the next board meeting we can hire some aides. Because as you know, that the legislature required us to hire an aide for every first grade classroom. So that was 9 people we had to find that didn't exist before. So I feel a little bit better about that than I did before. I spent last week at Wheeling University with the OVAC, but on the side I met with the gal up there who takes care of certification, alternative certification, and formed a wonderful relationship, and I'm pretty excited about that. Getting some answers for things that we didn't necessarily get talking to the Department of Ed, so I'm happy about that. And the only other new thing we've got going on is a new employee orientation. It'll be the week before all of our employees come back. Mr. Houston and I are going to debate a date because we accidentally scheduled it over ourselves, and we're going to come up with a better date. That those folks will get all the information that we would want them to have from day one instead of piecemealing it together. And I'm also going to, going forward, every Tuesday after a board meeting, anybody we hire who's new is just going to come here for their first day, at least for the first half of their day, so they can get all their information and not feel like they have no idea what's going on. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Lancaster?
I'd like to pass something on, just found it interesting, and like to actually literally pass this on to somebody who can take care of it and get it in the right hands. Kind of interesting, there were 2 pieces of property that we were selling or leasing. We talked about the one, which is the place out 100. The other one was, we did enter into a lease agreement with Antero for an old school lot that we have. But in doing so, I met Mr. Ken Barton. Ken Barton is a landman for Antero. He passed along to me from Jan Sewell of Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, had a Magnolia yearbook from 1912 and passed it on to him because he was working with her on as an heir that from up in Canada, and she said, basically, here's what she said. She said, I've got this yearbook. She'd like to pass that along to somebody because she has no kids or grands to leave it to, and I hate to think of it going into recycling. So I have it. It's fascinating. I'm pleased to be able to pass along a copy of the 1912 Magnolia yearbook, of which my grandfather, R.B. Hutchison, was the editor-in-chief. So it's very interesting. I mean, I'm afraid to open it too much because it's so, but it's fascinating read. And she just kind of like, it talks about the history of the editor-in-chief and where he went after Magnolia High School and World War I and his journey. But she'd like to pass this along to either Magnolia High School if they have a place, if we have a place, or if maybe our museum would like it. I don't know, but I know in my hands is not good before I spill my iced tea on it or something like that. So I'm looking at you.
I need to meet with Mrs. Miller about a couple other things. I'll be glad to take it up.
I'm going to pass it on, but it is fascinating.
And somebody doing the school year had brought one in that they showed me that was like 1920. I mean, and you look and you know some of the people in there's name, they're dead, but yeah, this is great stuff. So thank you.
I'm sure you will, but I'd love to see a thank you letter go out to Jan Sewell for doing
her return address and
yes.
stuff. Okay. Take
you.
care
Thank
of
you.
it.
Mr. Barkus?
Yeah, just one thing, expanding on the policies we were talking about earlier. So I've had a few people ask me, how do we have 6 policies up coming on today with 3 new and 3 revisions when we just completed this, all coming on already? And the reason, of course, is when there's state changes and federal changes, it trickles down. So I know all of us understand that, but just to make sure everybody else understands that as well. So policy changes are constantly occurring whenever something comes down from the state level and federal level, of course. Also today for example, a year and a half ago, the advice from the State Department was all counties needed to have one open enrollment policy. And after the last legislative session, the legal advice is now split that into 2, which is what Mrs. Porter went over tonight. Okay, so that's just one example. Today in the principals meeting, we went through all the policy manual and all the policies that will impact the principals the most. We also discussed how there was 300 policies originally. We've thinned it down to 162. They've all been legally vetted in 4 our counties. So just an update on that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
And they're all online too?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Because somebody asked about something and I said, all you gotta do is go, what's the
County
county
website,
school
yep.
website? If you can sort through all that, takes a little bit of time, but you'll get there. Or you can call down here, I'm sorry, but if you call the county office, somebody at the board office will lead you through.
We can get you
what's
the right
going
We'll
on.
patch them through to you if they call us.
It's fine with me.
Mr. Castello is the county expert.
Yeah.
Can I, please
Idiot
introduce
like
Ms.
you
Shipman?
to know.
I'm sorry.
Can I introduce Ms.
Well, go
Shipman?
ahead, because it's on my list, so you can
Oh,
do
it
it.
is?
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
At this time, I'd
It's
like
right
to
here.
introduce Ms. Shipman. She is our new principal at Hayden City High School. She comes to us with a wealth of experience. Please introduce yourself and say hi to her on your way out.
I had it listed here, Mrs. Shipman, and you already mentioned Mrs. McLaughlin changed job, so
Okay.
you took care of that.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Something I wanted to say about motions, and that's why I said I'd save it till the end. We learned at the training that we went to, that instead of us just saying, Mrs. Porter, would you please put that on the next agenda, like we usually do? That when we get down to other, if we want something on the next agenda, that we make a motion and a second and we vote on it. Instead of just saying, put it on the agenda.
But
we
that
have to vote
doesn't
on it.
prevent anything from being added at the last minute if it's important though, right?
Well, if it's in before the agenda goes out.
That's what I mean.
Right, yeah.
We could make a motion tonight, but if something came up next week, we can still put it.
Well, we can.
You can still do that within the time frame.
Right, okay.
But we have a whole
Just making
part
sure.
here
Yeah,
saying.
but we're supposed to do that so that it's the board decision to put it on the agenda and not just me or just Mrs. Porter, that it's the board has a vote on it.
Mrs. Potter, I forgot. I couldn't see it.
Oh.
I'm
She's
very
just been
sorry.
here forever, so we.
Although my seat is no longer at the big table,
You're still.
thank you for still allowing me to have a seat at the table. Just quickly here, technology-wise, right now we're kind of in this strange calm before the storm time. Laptops have been collected, new laptops should be shipped the beginning of August is what we're being told. Game plans are in place, plan A, B, and C based on when they're actually delivered and how we're going to get those out. Technology department will be working through tickets, trying to get all of those little things done all around the county. And again, it's a bit of a hurry up and wait, waiting for things to come in, get them installed and all of that. I do want to put on my tech center hat for a moment. Once more, sorry Mr. Kimball.
All right, I'll allow.
We've had 2 of our students who have had fantastic things happen over the past week. First off, Brayden Courtney, one of our electrical students, he passed his electrical journeyman's test. So very, very, very excited about that, and huge congratulations go out to him. And Virgil Dorian played for the OVAC All-Star West Virginia team. They won, yay. But on top of that, he won the OVAC football scholarship. So we're very, very proud of him for that as well. So just wanted to make sure those 2 students were given proper shout outs, or graduates, I should say, at this point. But thank you, that's all.
Is that all? All right, date and time of next meeting. Mrs. Simmons, can you figure that out?
I can figure it out, and it will be August 14th. That is you chose the second and
Yes.
the same, so that will be August 14th at 6 o'clock.
what we're gonna try when he makes, yeah.
Is that a first day for something else too?
First day.
Teachers come back.
That's what I thought, I'm just making sure.
I even scheduled a plane flight so I could go back in time and not have to do it from another location. Okay, anything else? All right, then do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Castello, do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Mrs. Nice, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously.